What exactly do we mean when we say migrant, immigrant, or immigration? It turns out none of us mean quite the same thing, and this is a problem. Before we start, take a second to define migrant and immigrant. And if the answer feels a little fuzzy, you're in good company. Perhaps you just pause the video to check dictionary definitions, but as we'll see, those won't solve the problem for you. With an upcoming election probable wherever you are, whenever you are, one topic that is sure to come up is immigration. When politicians, pundits, or pubgoers say migrant, it turns out the first question is going to need to be, which definition of migrant, immigrant, are you using? Definitions. Migration. First, the easiest thing to define is the act of migration. Migration is simply moving residents from one area to another. It can take place internally within a nation. For example, within the US, an estimated 1 million people migrate for winter each year to sunny Florida. Or it can be used to describe a shift in population from rural to urban living. It can, of course, also be used to describe moves across national borders. The Oxford Dictionary. Migrant. That migrates, characterized by migration, also wandering, nomadic, an animal, a bird, occasionally a plant, seed. Immigrant, a person who comes to settle permanently in another country or region. Let's then use the UK to explore where the problems lie, although it appears that this is a global problem. First off, there's no legal definition of migrants in the UK, so we'll look at major organisations and set out their definitions of migrant. The first category, country of birth. The Labour Force Survey and the Annual Population Survey both define migrant as those not born in the UK. This is perhaps intuitive as a definition. However, it fails to account for the fact that many British nationals are born abroad. However, their arrival in the UK, within this definition, would see them added to the number of migrants. This definition also fails to account for duration. If we accept this definition, Prince Philip, Paddy Ashdown, T.S. Eliot, George I and II, Henry II, Cliff Richard, you get the idea, would all be migrants. These organisations create statistics that are often used to inform decisions of economic policy. So imagine a public debate. According to the ONS, between January and March 2019, 17.8% of the population employed in the UK were migrants. This is true using the definition of foreign-born. If you only count foreign nationals, the number is 11.3%. So the next obvious definition to use would be foreign nationality as the defining characteristic of a migrant. Nationality. This is the definition used in national insurance number applications. However, this fails to account for several important things. Dual nationals are only required to enter a single nationality, and therefore the data lacks that important clarity. Applicants may also choose to answer based on the nationality that they choose to identify with, and not the one that best outlines where they may have been born or lived prior to the application. As of 2021, across England and Wales, 2.1% or 1.26 million usual residents held multiple passports. However, a failure to include nationality in migration statistics could cause another issue. This table, with statistics from the ONS, shows net migration. For those only listening, the graph shows net migration in the UK from 91 to 2018, and the graph shows that the EU, non-EU and all categories are all arriving more than they're leaving, and that the British nationals are leaving more than they are arriving. Notice that the inclusion of British nationals within the all category actually lowers the overall net migration. The table shows that removing British nationals from net migration statistics will increase the overall net total, meaning that anyone wanting to make migration numbers appear lower could simply add British nationals to their statistics. For clarity, these figures are showing those that have moved to the UK for at least 12 months, which takes us to length of stay. The Office for National Statistics uses the UN definition. A person who moves to a country other than that of his or her usual residence for a period of at least a year, so that the country of destination effectively becomes his or her new country of usual residence. The ONS pull their data from the International Passenger Survey. The key issue here is that it relies on people to self-report their intentions and not what they actually end up doing. In calculating their estimates for long-term international migration, the ONS do attempt to account for those that switch. Now, As of 2021-22, 679,000 international students are studying for higher education in the UK. This is one of the many reasons people might stay for a few years. Whether or not they choose to stay longer than their studies would not be captured at this point. How do you weigh the difference between shorter migrations of just a few years and those that choose to stay longer? Could the inclusion of those only staying a few years in migration data cause people to misunderstand the scale of long term migration as defined by nationality? So I asked you earlier for your definition of migrant or immigrant. Has it changed? Let's look now at what the UK public thinks when they hear immigrant. According to a 2009 survey by the Migration Observatory, when thinking of immigrants, of those questioned, 62% were most likely to think of asylum seekers, and only 29% to think of students, the highest and lowest, respectively, of all associations. Whereas in 2009, when the survey was taken, students represented the largest percentage of UK immigrants at 37%, as defined by length of stay, and asylum seekers were the smallest at just 4%. Consider for a moment, in debates around immigration, the disparity between what is being said and what is being heard, what is being written and what is being understood. In 2009, according to the ONS, an estimated 48% of immigrants, defined by length of stay, came to stay for 1 to 2 years and 19% for 3 to 4 years. But when questioned, 62% of people thought of immigration as permanent. Whether the fault is in the speaker or the writer, in those that are listening or those that are reading, the gap in mutual understanding is no small issue. When you next read or hear, write or speak statistics on migration, immigration in debate, here is a checklist. Method of definition: country of birth, nationality, length of stay, nationality, UK, dual UK, all, or wherever you're from. Time: this one's a suggestion, but less than 1 year, short, 2 to 5 years, medium, more than 5 years, long. Type: economic, student, family, refugee, escaping, asylum seeker, applying to remain. Legal status: legal or illegal. Demanding this precision of ourselves and of others might seem a tad pernickety, but the upshot is a better chance of talking with each other, with shared language and understanding, and not wasting our time creating needless friction. This is, at least I think, until next time.